Boy, howdy. Can you believe it? Hunter Talk is back. Welcome, everybody. Guess
Wow.
what? LCS is this week, Jordan.
What? Cole.
Believe it or not. I was waiting for Riot to tweet out the schedule so we'd know when it would be. They tweeted like an hour ago, so we're good. LCS is happening
busy, Cole, with Masters, which I'm sure they're still just wrapping up the NA #1 party at headquarters. Right. So all it took, Cole, was them making a brand new video game. Who knew?
That's all. And now we know NA's on top and will remain on top.
Right. We're going to carry that momentum into the summer split, Cole, us personally, into Worlds Finals, 3-0. It all starts here.
What a time to be alive.
Wow. I can't believe we win Worlds.
If you guys are just tuning in for the first, let's call it 3 times, this is Hunter Talk. I'm Cole and that's Jordan. We are idiots about League of Legends, but we love 100 Thieves, so we're here to talk about the team. Specifically tonight, we're talking about what storylines that we're kind of watching for this split. We're actually going to dive deep into some of the things that Reapered said about his approach and his evaluation of the team in a recent interview that he did for Inven Global, or however you pronounce it. And then we're going to talk about what our expectations are of this team, and not in a power ranking sense, but more of a like, what is reasonable to expect from 100 Thieves. And maybe along the way we'll do some listener takes, probably do some predictions for the upcoming week, the opening week. It's going to be a banger, and it feels so good to be doing this again, and it feels so good to be drinking Reapered along the way.
Wow.
Reapered powers this podcast, the only good tasting energy drink in the world, and this one also is only $1, so everybody wins.
I've got water.
You've also got Reapered, but that will be for later.
That's pulling all-nighter, so I didn't want to start too early.
Yep. All right, everyone. I'm so excited to do this. Let's dive in. Jordan.
Yes.
The first storyline that I've got my eye on, and this is a personal it's not like a pet peeve, but this is going to be like my personal focus for this split. Something I'm watching keenly is the LCS community underrating Abbedagge. Now, the first, like, the primary reason I put this on here was because I saw the Oracle's Elixir mock draft that they did with like drafting all LCS players into, what was it, 6 teams, I think it was. Now, I love Tim to death. Loved him. He's the best.
He didn't make these picks himself.
He did. He was one of them. Yeah.
All of them?
No, not all of them. He was one of the 6 people drafting. So let me say this is all respectful. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's what like Mel Kiper his entire career is. So anyway, Mel Kiper's LCS mock draft. What I saw shocked me in that draft. Okay, because Abbedagge was like, he was a 5th round pick. And again, I think that was 6 teams. So he's somewhere in that like 26 to 30 range. Or wait, that math doesn't work out. But you know what I'm talking about. He was way lower than he was supposed to be, in my opinion. I was shocked. So look, I'm not going to say I'm like that Abbedagge should be the #1 overall LCS draft pick, even though by the end of the split we will be saying that. But to fall that far in the mock draft, I was like, So I started paying attention to what people are saying about Abbedagge, and just in general, it doesn't seem like outside of 100 Thieves, there's much belief that this is going to be transformational for 100 Thieves. And that is really weird to me. So first of all, we've got Perks on record saying that this is a massive upgrade, right? Like his Twitch clip that we showed on the podcast when this first happened, he called this a massive upgrade. But I'm telling you, it's like, it doesn't seem like there's much belief in the LCS community among the analysts, among people outside of 100 Thieves, that this is like that big of a deal.
Where are you doing your listening, Cole? Where is your listening tour taking you?
I'm not like listening, I'm like reading. So I'm like seeing
Reddit,
Twitter, Yeah, like that kind of thing. Just like I don't know, what am I missing something? It doesn't seem like people really think Abbedagge is that good.
Well, I think the story on him. So, right, I was talking to my brother-in-law over the weekend, who has been a league fan much longer than I have. Shout out Melvin. And he was talking about how, like, his perspective on European mids is they're either world beaters, and it's kind of mine too. But they're either world beaters or they are volatile, right? Like you got guys like Larson, you got guys like Abbedagge who are either going to win or run it down. And I think my sense, Cole, is that a lot of people are putting Abbedagge in the latter category, right? Like he is not in people's minds a sure thing that is going to guarantee that you are a better, more consistently top 3 team, which we finished 4th. So the only improvement we can make, short of being closer to 3rd, but still 4th, is to be 3rd.
And make it to Worlds.
And make it to Worlds. So we're either meaningfully better and on our way to Worlds, pack your bags, or we're a touch better, but still inconsistent, still dropping games to teams we shouldn't, still not consistently beating the top 3 teams and not going to Worlds. Those are the 2 primary possibilities. So I think that when I see people saying like, it's usually that I'm picking up on. It's like, yeah, but he's still gonna, he's still gonna int. And, I'm maybe, but it seems like in his young career, the trajectory is towards more consistent and reliable play. But he's not, he hasn't been there for a long time. Like he is not an established brand until more recently, and it's pretty recent. So that's what I think I'm picking up on from the community.
But he is still very young, and if you watch that montage from the Miracle Run, like the dude is clearly capable of carrying a team. And that's in EU, which when we're not talking about Valorant, we're talking about a tougher overall league to be in. You know what I mean? And he did some incredible things during that time. Like to me, if you get one of these, high skill mid laners where it's like, okay, they're going to be like potentially top 3 in NA. To me, that's like the most important foundational piece, right? So if I'm a GM and I get someone like Abbedagge, I'm like thrilled. Like I don't like. It's almost like the rest doesn't matter because you can eventually build around that. But the mid laner is just that piece that's so difficult to get. So to me, it's like this is so obviously a big deal. I mean, isn't this the lesson that we've learned as Under Thieves fans? Is like without the really good mid, like nothing else really matters. So then it's just a question of, like you're saying, whether or not people believe he's really good. And I think he's shown enough to at least be like, all right, he's significantly better than what we had before, right? Will we all agree on that? Okay. And like you've mentioned, that was 4th place.
Yeah. I still think I am not in the camp of people who's not excited about this.
I know. I was just answering.
I'm just representing.
I was just answering that perspective.
So I think even if you think he is going to, let's say you're on the conservative side of your assessment of Abbedagge and what he brings to this team, I think you have a hard time giving a genuine assessment here that is less than major upgrade so far as potential goes, ceiling, all of these things, and like all of the things, like you said, that you want to see in the position that you want to build around. Like I think it's a very real possibility that he continues to improve. And I think it's a very low possibility that we've seen the best of Abbedagge and it's not going to be enough to make a meaningful difference. I think that's like a 0 possibility.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's an upgrade. And it kind of brings to mind for me a bigger question about, it's so interesting as 100 Thieves gets into more sports and spends more time in different titles. It really is a different game in every one of them, so far as roster building, scouting,
I
all
think
this
that's
stuff
a
goes.
not so subtle nod to LA Thieves in Call of Duty.
Look no further than the CDL, which I mean, it's just the pace of roster changes. So, like, I don't think you can underestimate how important it is to the program to lock in somebody of this caliber. Even if it doesn't go exactly as we think it will, it's still an important step for the program. Making improvements to a league roster is a really tricky proposition. It feels to me like nothing is guaranteed. So to get a person signed who you feel like is at least going to give you a good chance at having an improved roster is really valuable. It's a really important thing, especially if
Especially
you're talking
mid
about
split or mid season, I
mid-split.
guess. Excuse me.
Yeah, mid-season, at the end of a split and with a new coach. And I'm not going to get into that now, but like you want to set a new program up for initial success. You don't want to have to, and credit to Zix, right? Like he was brought in basically at a point where he had to kind of dig out.
Yeah.
And that's not what Reaper's getting. So that's good. That shows that the program overall is at least trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think everybody is underrating Abbedagge. And
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why.
I don't really know either. I mean, like I've heard many explanations about like champ pool and like what the meta is going to be and all this stuff. And it's just like, I just have a hunch that we're going to get a few weeks down the line and people are going to be like really revising what their preseason Abbedagge takes were. I just really think that that's going to happen. So that's the first storyline I'm watching for this split is the LCS community underrating Abbedagge. Second is going to be Ssumday's trajectory, because this could be like a even more of a make or break thing than the Abbedagge signing, right?
Yeah.
Because we basically have two sides of Ssumday. We have the historical Ssumday, historically accurate Ssumday, which is like an incredible player of multiple play styles who is capable of carrying, but he's also capable of playing weak side. And then we have like what we got towards the end of the previous split, which was, what's going on here? Who's that guy?
Yeah.
This does not look like I just killed everyone Ssumday. This looks like a different Ssumday.
Right.
The question is, which one of those are we going to get and why? I personally am leaning towards we're going to see more of a rebound from him. I think Reapered is going to have a heck of a lot to do with that. And just in general, even if we didn't have Reaper coming in, I just feel like Ssumday he's obviously going to like review how things went in the previous split and be like, no, I need to go ham, like,
Yeah.
so I think even regardless of the coaching change, we were going to see a Ssumday like back in form. He's just too good for me to continue on that previous trajectory. But having Reapered in there, especially, I think is just going to mean a lot to him. So I'm projecting positively in this. You can tell me how you're feeling about it, but definitely watching what is Ssumday's trajectory in summer 2021.
I generally agree with you. I was pretty concerned about Ssumday at the end of last split. Knowing what we now know, I think it's okay for us to assume that things probably weren't great overall, right? Like, I think the team had a goal. My guess is their goal was to make top 3.
Yeah.
And it became pretty discouraging when it became clearer and clearer that was seeming unlikely. And I'm guessing that Zix and Ssumday didn't really vibe or mesh. And I'm not saying that based on anything I've heard or seen, but it just didn't seem like Ssumday really flourished under Zix's coaching plan. So, and I'm not saying this to try to like drum up anything, but I think it's fair to say that in a situation like that, where a coach is out of a position and the players who are under him were underperforming what they historically have, feels safe to say to me that that's probably at least a contributing factor. So I'm with you. Zix's style seemed a lot more conservative, and I feel like Ssumday is not that kind of player, right? He's just not a guy who even in situations and in different iterations of this roster where he's had players around him who aren't on his level, he has still found ways to pop off. And it just seemed a little bit like his fighting spirit was diminishing. So I hope that the reset does that for him. I hope it brings him back to that point, and I have reason to think it will. Some of the stuff that Reapered is saying early gives me hope. I think
that's a teaser. More on that
that's
later.
A teaser. Reapered is the kind of coach who sees talent, it seems, recognizes what people can do, and finds ways to maximize that talent. It's not the opposite. And I'm not saying this is what Zix did, but there are a lot of coaches who have a system, right? And like you play to that system. Seems to me like Reapered's system is a little bit of like let the boys play, right? Like you've got great players, you have raw talent, you have veteran talent, you got the whole mix, and it gives me more optimism that we see Ssumday of old rather than Ssumday of recent history. So yeah, I think we will.
Looking forward to Ssumday of yore.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's storyline number 2. Storyline number 3 for me is this revisiting Worlds as the goal, right? And as you mentioned before, that was the stated goal for the beginning of the 2021 season. And now I think with the roster change we made and the coaching change we made, I think obviously that is going to remain the goal, especially since we were technically only one place out of it. This of course means that one of the top 3 favorites here would have to get knocked out. So we're looking at C9, Team Liquid, and TSM. And I personally think that TSM is going to be very sad to not get into Worlds this season. It's actually, so when you look at it that way, though, it does underscore the difficulty of the task, because C9 is obviously very, very good. MSI was weird for them, but we know that, and you could have even see it at MSI, that they have it in them to play at an incredibly high level. And NA just hasn't really seemed like much of a challenge for them for the most part. So there's that. Team Liquid just seems to be always there. They just always find a way to be very good. That just happens to be their MO. And then TSM is actually, kind of in that category as well. Like we were talking about a perennial like finals team, in TSM. They always find a way to be there. And they having players like Sword Art, which also maybe a little underrated by the LCS community right now.
Doesn't hurt.
But yeah, I definitely think like when you talk about it in that way, it's like, wow, we have to beat one of those 3 teams to get there. But at the same time, it's like, so TSM, I'm sorry.
I mean, I won't be sad at all to not see them at Worlds. They didn't do anything with it when they went last time. I'll bring that up.
Well, they did a 9-man sleep.
So yeah, it's the goal, right? We're in kind of a weird spot, sitting in 4th. And I'd forgotten about this, but we just kind of pick up where we left off in spring.
Yeah, the new format, right?
We're still in 4th. So, that's, in some ways it's good. Obviously you'd like to be higher, but at least we didn't have kind of this colossal trip near the finish line of spring to end up with a much bigger task ahead of us. So it's kind of a weird spot, because it's like the only way to demonstrate improvement is to make Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if you are on leadership for the league program, you kind of have to say that, right? Like anything less is going to seem a lot like settling, and I think it would be.
But I still think it's sincere.
No, I do too. I mean, it would be a massive. We talked about this last split, right? Where I was like, guys, get really excited. We're going to get 5th. We're aiming for 5th. Like nobody wants to see that vlog, that docuseries of the heist. We're stealing our way to 5th.
Dude,
so
don't spoil the CLG content for this year.
That would be a major accomplishment.
Major improvement. They're aiming for playoffs. Can we make top 8? Yeah.
8 of 10. I think it's actually harder to not make playoffs in this format than it is to
For
make
sure.
it. You got to really throw some games. So yeah, Worlds is the goal. It's certainly seeming doable. I think, especially with TSM just not looking quite as steady as they have. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I haven't been in this place as a 100 Thieves fan where I'm expecting Worlds in years. And I've said before that I'm always a little bit nervous when we get to talking about Worlds, because I do feel like other iterations of this team haven't been Worlds ready. Like, I just think that we haven't been good enough. And this is the first split going into it where I'm like, yeah, I think that that's a realistic thing for us to be talking about and thinking about. And barring a major disappointment, we should be there. So it's kind of crazy.
Well, we were kind of in that place when we signed Bang, though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, going into that, that's right.
Yeah.
I was actually, as I was saying that, I was thinking about that. That thought faded very quickly.
Yeah, it feels different. I know that's weird to say, because when Bang was signed, it felt great, and we felt so much like, yeah, like we had a good team and we're going to get better with this signing. But I'm telling you, because it's the mid laner, it just feels different to me. It just feels absolutely different. And guess what? We already have like the best ADC in NA anyway. So
yeah.
So that's storyline number 3. Worlds is the goal. And then the final storyline I'm watching: can Reapered save 100T? Now, let me set this up. So I've mentioned that 100 Thieves esports in some ways is starting to feel a little bit like the Knicks or the Clippers, right? Where this is an organization that, like, people believe, like fans believe, the community believes, has a lot of like baggage that comes along with it, in that, you know, you've got all the memes, you've got the hoodie org, you've got the history of ill-fated roster moves that came at difficult times. We've got the they don't communicate and tell us what's going on thing. Why do we trade away Medios? That kind of thing. All of this adds up, and like the 100T doesn't care about esports kind of stuff. Like all of this stuff that is complete BS, right? It's just straight up ignorance.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it becomes baggage whenever you're trying to convince a player or a coach to come to the team, right? And so it's like, fair or not, if you are a coach or a GM coming on board to this team, it's like you're like being unofficially tasked with rescuing the org's esports perception for whatever reason. Like, why are we talking about this? You know, based on what else we've done in esports, I don't know, but that's what happens with the fan community. So Reapered coming in with his reputation is going to be like the man for that task, right? It's like, can Reapered save 100T? Can Reapered shed the baggage that 100T has? Can we move from being largely like a team that people like to meme, right? About like, oh, they're never like serious contenders for LCS, and turn that into a permanent state of, we take this LCS team seriously.
Yeah. I mean, there's always, look, doesn't matter who you are. Every team has their memes. Paid by Steve, talent suppression machine, right? I don't know what Cloud9's is. Probably that Jack just hoards talent and then people's careers die. Like, I don't know. But that's what happens. So for me, the community has just landed on their meme of choice for us.
Yeah.
And that's probably set, honestly. It's probably set. Unless we go on some kind of crazy run like TL has in the past, which, like, you shouldn't expect that of anyone, right? That's never normal, nor should it be the goal of an organization is to win, you know, like 3 or 4 years in a row, whatever it was. But I think that's just going to be our thing. And the goal, I think, for us, Reapered saving 100T in League of Legends, to me, means that we are relevant again. And let me expand on that a little bit. Being 4th place in League of Legends means nothing, right? You might as well be 7th. Like,
yeah,
when it comes to the end of the season, because you are sitting on the same couch as the 7th place team, watching the rest of the teams actually play high stakes League of Legends, right? The ones the one that really matters. And I know we've talked about how it's still important to hang banners. So that's not to say like Worlds is the only thing that matters, but if you want to hang a banner, you got to finish top 3 by definition. So for me, that's what it means. It's like, I think part of what adds the sting to Hoodie Org is when it seems like our apparel is performing better than the others, right? Or our content side. And that's by the nature of things. If you want to have a healthy business, it's going to be that way sometimes. It just has to not be that way most of the time. And, missing Masters hurts. The current state of
Talk about Valorant,
Thieves, current state of LA Thieves hurts. And so if this is another 4th place split for us, we're the Hoodie Org again, right? So we've got to at least crack top 3. And I think eventually we got to start competing, like being a real contender. Even if we show up in the finals for a split, people have to honestly, it cannot be a straight prediction sweep to C9, right? People have to legitimately be thinking that we have a shot at this. And, I guess the question is, can he? Yeah, I think he can. I think it's the incremental progress we've made, which it seems kind of weird to say that, has made that task less impossible, right? Like, this is not a turn the entire ship around. This is just get us there. And he's got a piece in place now with Abbedagge that should make it doable. It's not asking an impossible task of him, I'd say.
Yeah. The nightmare scenario, maybe, I made the comparison to the Knicks earlier, the Knicks to the Clippers. Take your pick. I know some people who have appeared early in the chat earlier tonight have a strong preference for Clippers over the Knicks for this analogy. But let me just stick with the Knicks for a second. I mean, the Knicks pulled in Phil Jackson as a GM at a key time in the franchise's history. You're bringing in someone who won titles as a player and a coach, and coached the most, the greatest basketball player of all time, some of the greatest teams of all time, came into the Knicks and absolutely botched everything, and nothing went right.
Right.
So can we please all join hands in a prayer circle and pray that this is not a Knicks situation going on? I don't think it is. So here's what I want to do. So the 4th timeline, the 4th storyline, can Reapered save 100T? That's what we're going to be watching. But let's transition. Let's use that to talk more in general about what Reapered's going to do with this team, because he gave maybe the best interview I've read in LCS. Other than that long form piece on Faker, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, this is one of the best just interviews I've read. And it was an Inven Global. I think we can kind of put this up on screen for a little bit, though. I think I honestly have no idea what your camera is doing in this scene, so maybe I have to adjust your camera. Oh, it's okay. Okay, cool. So we're gonna talk through some of these here. I'll post the link to the article in the chat if you guys want to follow along here. This was a very interesting interview. We're gonna just pick a few spots here to talk about. First of all, let's actually say that he made this comment in response to how did it happen that since C9 you've now signed with 100 Thieves, and then he made this comment: the support 100 Thieves gave the LOL team was more detailed than I thought, and he showed me many different roadmaps for the team. So multiple plans, but I found this statement very interesting. The support 100 Thieves gave the LOL team was more detailed than I thought.
Yeah.
When I talk about baggage that follows the org around, this is part of what I'm talking about. I'm serious. Right. Because I think this is not the first time that comments like this have been made by people who are joining 100T on the esports side, specifically on the LCS side, where it's I would maybe pointing out that they're surprised or maybe not expecting the level of infrastructure that's there with 100T and the amount of money being spent to make the program good. And I still don't understand this. Like, why do people not expect that sort of thing? Like, are we just too close to it to where our bias, makes us see it that way? But like, for me, it's like, yeah, like we've been doing a lot of things. We've always had a commitment to the staff, and a commitment to doing things the right way. But he's pointing out here that it was more detailed support. And I'm taking that to mean there's just a more elaborate program structure and resources available than Reapered was expecting. And that was one of the things that converted him over to the idea of, joining 100T. Am I weird that strikes me that way, or?
No, I think it's, when he was having his initial conversations with Papa and whoever else was involved, right? Or there's just Papa, but like nothing. And so you see an organization that, the overall trajectory of the league program has been, some improvement lately, but mixed. Generally just kind of downward from
we'll say mixed.
A hot start.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, it's certainly uneven.
Yeah.
And I think as an outsider, one of the things you wonder is why. There are a lot of reasons it could be. One of them would be that there isn't a plan, right? And it is reactive, and it's based on what's available at the time, and trying to, take these big home run swings. And when I read that, or when I listen to that, or whatever, what I hear is there's a strategy behind this program, right? It's not just them saying, we got so lucky with Abbedagge. This is great. We're set now. We're ready to go back to Worlds.
Or it's not, come here and fix this. Like, put out this fire and show us how to do this.
Right. Like, yeah, like what in the conversation they had, he wasn't talking about like, we've got these sweet, branded glasses that you'll have to drink water out of at the Cash App compound. That'll be great for you. That's going to be a lot of fun. And the training room has a big TV in it, so really helpful, and a whiteboard. Clearly there were comments made about the ideas behind the entire program. That for me, I mean, it does demonstrate that he has confidence in Pop Smithy and what he said, because it'd be really easy to just be kind of the salesperson for the organization, to put the financials up on the board, to say, here's how good we're doing. We're profitable. We just signed these big people. Valorant is looking pretty good. Like there's a pitch to give about 100 Thieves that's more optimistic than you can give about the League of Legends program. And what I'm hearing is that wasn't what he got.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly what that was, obviously, but it's encouraging. It's encouraging to think that it's not just us being opportunistic.
Yeah.
That there's actually some future vision on this, roadmaps to different possibilities and potential scenarios, all that stuff. So
I'm just waiting.
That's good.
I'm just waiting for this sentiment to really like penetrate through the community so we can again shed some of the memes, because I mean, we are now on like, the umpteenth time of hearing a player or a coach or a GM or whoever, either joining or leaving the team and always having something positive to say about the structure of the team and the organization. I mean, barring Medios, who, basically acts like a child nowadays. Anyway.
But I think you got to expect that, right?
Yeah.
So that people are going to assume that you are inept and feckless.
Yeah, if you didn't win.
And because it's all in the results, right? And honestly, a strategy that doesn't give you the results you want is probably not as good as it should be. So,
all right. The next thing that really stuck out to me is this question: what kind of team is Reaper's 100 Thieves? Which is a great question, by the way. So shout out to who did this article? David Vian Jang. So shout out to David.
Yeah.
Great question. And his answer, let's just read it in full because I think this is awesome. For 100 Thieves, I want to make a team where players could shine individually. Whenever I talk to players in NA, I feel that a lot of the players here are forced to make plays for the team. It feels that they're somewhat shackled. All people are different, so all players are different as well. There are calm players and there are wild players, but all of them are kind of forced to make one play. They're too tied up. That's how they learn the game. For my 100 Thieves, I want to make a place where players or coaching staff could do their best safely. You don't often think, I worked really hard with all my passion in a lifetime. Sometimes doing your best with all your passion is prevented by other people around you, pointing fingers, or there could be other things as well. My goal as the head coach of 100 Thieves is to make the environment and workplace where they all can do their best safely and teach them to show their full capabilities. What a sick answer. All right. So look,
I want to play on his team.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the times I think we're conditioned to expect kind of the opposite sentiment from our coaches, right? Where it's like, we're gonna sacrifice for each other. We're gonna play the right way. You know, we're gonna play the meta. We're gonna learn to do it. And Reaper is basically like, look, like you said earlier, let the boys play. Yeah. I'm going to remove. It's like if you read the nuance in this, he's like, I'm going to remove the pressure that players feel when they are accountable for their mistakes. You know what I mean? It's like not to relieve them of accountability, but he's freeing them up. He's saying like, you don't have to worry about the sacrifice, you know, that like you don't have to think twice about making the move that you think is right because, you know, someone will complain that you didn't sacrifice for the better of the team or whatever. Like he doesn't want to question the players in the moment, and he'll coach them the right way afterwards. Right. But like, you know, take risks, be yourself, play the way you want to play. And that, again, not a sentiment we're used to hearing, I think, from the coaching side. And that is really exciting for me. It's like, here's a safe environment for you to play the way that you think you should play. I mean, after all, we know that these players basically get themselves into these positions to be a professional playing the way that they played, right? We've talked about how, you know, it can be difficult for league players to even accept coaching because what got them to Challenger, what got them signed, themselves sitting in a bedroom playing solo queue. You know what I mean? So it can be really difficult, I think, for them to accept coaching or whatever. And Reaper's like, look, let's embrace that instead of trying to, you know, trying to break them of their wild habits or whatever, right? So I thought that was a fascinating answer, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Well, one thing you said that I want to pick up on is, you know, we don't hear this too often from coaches in the league space. And it might just be that I'm not looking. I don't feel like I hear a lot from any coaches in the league space at all.
That's true.
It's not, for me, it's not just that we don't hear opinions that are as agreeable and inspiring. I just don't feel like I hear from coaches about what their philosophy is.
Yeah. But I mean, like, can you imagine Zix giving an answer like that? I cannot.
No. And I think in part what I'm getting at is I can't imagine it because we didn't hear it. And, you know, maybe something had to do with COVID and not having like press access to the players and coaches and, you know, like as much of that stuff as we normally did. But I guess in a weird way, I kind of feel like I have a better understanding of who Reapered is as a coach and what he stands for and his goal. I mean, certainly the fact that he said what his goal is outright is different. So it's just very different so far. Even from, I think, probably started talking more about his vision as a coach when he started getting a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Right. And he made some comments about how it's, you know, if you're going to put blame on somebody, it's got to be, you know, you at least think about me as the coach. Right.
Yeah,
like it's not like, and, you know, he was deflecting the criticism from the players, which is
noble.
You know, that's an important
part
thing
of
to
the
do
job
as well.
Yeah.
But it didn't come with a lot of explanation for, well, here's what we're doing. Here's what our general approach to the game is. Here's why it's not working so well right now, we think. So this is really interesting and refreshing. I hope we get more of this. You know, we've seen Reapered in tough spots before.
Yeah.
And he's been bold enough to take action that I think a lot of people would not take. So, you know, it feels like we should expect more of this if his own history is any indicator of where this could go.
Yeah. Now he talked about a specific player that like saw a big change when this philosophy started to be implemented, and this is brand new, right? Um, Actually, I won't give that away since we'll talk about that in a second. But this is, he said closer changed a lot in that regard, right? With this unleashing, this unshackling. He says it's only been a week since we started practice together. Rather than saying he improved much, his play style changed completely. So it's like it's not necessarily he's playing so much better now. It's that he's playing completely differently.
Right.
He said he's already capable of doing so. I won't say he improved because he already could play this way. He just didn't. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's back in the wild, he's going back to his original self, which that excites me because remember how good he looked early, right?
Yeah.
And he says I'm a bit.
Well, in this,
good.
So we should air this. The people who said this, right? Like, and I think I probably dismissed this a little bit too readily, but they said the team looked great in lock-in, and then the more they were coached, the less great they looked.
Yeah.
Right. And there were 1,000 different reasons that people. Well, it's probably 3 main ones, but there's a lot of different reasons. But like people said it's the meta. They got scared, right? Like it didn't work for a little bit, and then they didn't want to do it anymore. Maybe
or
it wasn't
we got
them.
Figured out, right?
We got figured out. We were able to be target banned. Whatever it was. But it's also possible that somebody just said stop playing that way because we got clocked. So if you were one of those people who said like, hey, the team looked great in lock-in and it would be cool if we could go back to that place, credit to them. They would also maybe say that we've released DeMonte, so it's too late. I would say, I think don't worry about that so much, but it's an interesting thought. Yeah. I remember that coming up.
Yep. Interesting. He pointed out, I'm a bit worried because Closer has a lot of ambition, but he fights well, has great mechanics, and is very smart. I believe he could do really well this season. Right. So when I read that, I'm a bit worried because he has a lot of ambition. It's like he's taking risks, right? He's taking high risk scenarios. It's like, cool. Sounds like what we need, after a while.
Right.
Further on, where do I want to go next? So he mentions that Abbedagge was his number 1 pick. Mentioned being super happy about getting a player like that in between splits, especially.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this already would have been a great get if it was just, in the off season, but even in between splits where it's so much tougher, that's even better. I want to go to him talking about his goal for the team and for the players. So hold on. I'm scrolling down here to find this. Did I pass it? I apologize, guys. Give me 1 second.
We're scrolling live.
Yeah, scrolling live. I apologize. Here we go. All right. Found it. Sorry. Right here. So my goal and the team's goal would be coming within second place during the regular season. So he's off the jump. He's not like, let's beat C9 immediately, right? He's like, look, let's get second place during the regular season and getting to Worlds. I think is a good goal. I think it's a doable goal, even though it's a tough goal, right? But it's doable. It's reasonable. It's realistic. And then he says, as for the players, rather than results for the season or getting trophies, I want to make them all LCS first team players.
That's a lot. That's a big goal.
I've been giving the impression that I want to make them competitive enough to challenge the world at Worlds. That is such a cool philosophy, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, look, I'm unleashing these dudes to really, really go for it, to really stand out as unique and individual players, proving that they're worth first team votes, right? And that's really not even unreasonable, right? Like, think about who we've got on the team. Mm-hmm. It's not unreasonable at all. Yeah. And to have that as like a focus for the players. I mean, if you're a player, you're gonna love that. And as a fan, I'm just like, gee, what kind of, like, this is just such a different energy coming into the program. That's like, this is going to be a change, and it's going to be cool to watch. Yeah. I want to see us taking huge swings like this. And I can just only imagine, if you're a player, like how much this does for you to feel like this guy's in your corner. Because
Right.
like, look, like we're gonna try and make second. We're gonna go to Worlds regardless because TSM there's no chance. But we're also gonna have these individual players stand out and get recognized. You know,
Yeah.
I really, really love this.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've got the LCS is. I'm only going to say this from a domestic perspective. There are a lot of talented players in the LCS right now. You know, to be first team LCS means that you are better than Perks. It means that you are better than Alfari. You know, like it means that you are better than Core JJ. So that's a lot. That's saying a lot, and it is surely ambitious and, you know, that's. But look, I don't think you say like that answer is not that answer if you say I want them all to be second team LCS, right? Like it's inspiring them to be almost as good as they could be. You know, it's like, so you have to say that. But there is a lot of talent in the LCS. Whether NA can figure out how to play internationally is a different question, but it's certainly true that there are players who they will have to really rise to the challenge of to beat to first team. And I certainly obviously hope that happens. And I think to even be considered is, to your point, that feels good to me, right? Again, like being relevant as a player means that you are getting that nod at potential best in the league.
Yeah.
It's just a lot less important and exciting from a fan perspective to have second or third best players, because who remembers those players as much?
Yeah. I got a flashback of, you know, just thinking about, you know, these players like taking the muzzles off, right, and just going at it. It just reminded me of that video from the Lakers series where LeBron James is like in KCP's ear, like, I want you to shoot. Like, I want you to shoot, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's what Reaper's doing here, man. I don't know. Like, if like firepower was the meme, the key word from last split, you know? But it's like now this is the philosophy that actually delivers that. Right?
Yeah.
This is the philosophy that delivers firepower. And then the final thing, just wanted to mention really quick from this, is that, guess what? No. Abbedagge got his visa and they were able to start only a week ago. He says it's a bit late, right? So that's kind of a keep that in mind thing, okay? We remember that Perks didn't necessarily get off to the best start. Like, I mean, he righted the ship pretty quickly during lock-in, but for the first little while, it was not going super well for him. He took a moment to find his footing. That's always going to be the case no matter how good the team is, right? Or good the player is. Yep. Abbedagge right here, we have hey, guess what? We've only had a week of practice so far. So that is a good mental note for us to segue into expectations that we have for this team going on summer 2021.
I know that was a great transition. Can I make one final comment on players?
Sure.
And Reapered specifically. I'm just going to put this out there, Cole. Ryoma is an interesting academy prospect under Reapered for the same reason, right? And I'm only interested because I feel like that's always been my question for Ryoma, is if he were allowed to play his game and encouraged to, kind of demanded that he play the way he likes to play, would it have looked different? And I've always thought that it might. And I think now it will bring peace to the whole Ryoma saga to just say he had his shot. He was told to play his game. And I think we have a much better sense for who he is as a player.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's had a chance in that kind of system too. So I'm glad for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's good. There are a lot less questions that I think we'll be left asking, no matter which way it goes with him. So that's good.
All right. Well, thank you for mentioning Academy so that Kelsey Moser doesn't give us a hard time in chat.
Right. That's right.
All right. Expectation for this team. So this is where Jordan and I excel in a way that probably drives people crazy, in that we always soft pedal the expectations, right? We're always the people who are like, hey, let's be reasonable here. All right. And it doesn't make for the most entertaining takes. We're not firing off Skip Bayless takes here, but thank heavens. But look, let's consider some of the reasons to be excited and the reasons to temper that excitement, you know. I want to start off with what's exciting, just because, you know, let's keep that train going. And this kind of piggybacks onto what Reapered was saying about making his players first team LCS candidates, right? We have the potential to have top 2 players in all of our lanes, right? So Ssumday, when he's on, he's really, really good, right? And
he's
look,
already been there.
Yeah, he's already been there. Alfari looked amazing in this last split. Fudge looked really good at MSI, as much as it pains me to say that. It's not like there's not going to be competition for this spot. I mean, even Impact is always, you know, always up there. But Ssumday has that potential. He has the potential to be a top 2 player in NA.
Yep.
Abbedagge, I'm telling you right now, he has that potential as well. And that's where, you know, maybe I'm differing from the league community, but I truly believe that. All right. FBI and Huhi, if not the best bot lane in NA, it was so close with C9, right? Like it was us and C9 basically.
Well, and C9 just benched half their bot lane. So
yeah. What's going on? Well,
who knows?
We don't need to dive into that.
But you've got to imagine, to your point, that only moves us that much closer to going into this split best bot lane, right?
Yeah. And so that is so.
You forgot jungle. You feeling that way about jungle?
Well, let's see. Maybe I kind of think of him as more of a 3-4 than a 1-2. You know, there's Blabber and then there's the rest of the field. Santorin's pretty dang good too.
Yeah. Yep.
But still, it's like, okay, even if that's the case, it's like, look at our freaking lanes. When is the last time we could say that as 100T fans? Never, right?
Yeah.
We just never have been able to say that. The potential is there for us to really excel in all of our lanes. Imagine not having a weak lane. We've always had a weak lane. Imagine not having a weakness there. That is so freaking exciting. And guess what? Not only do we have top 2 lanes everywhere, or at least the potential to have top 2 lanes everywhere, top 2 coach, top 1 coach probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who's going to be doing it better than him. Jat's really good. Yeah. Jat's really good, but Reapered is Reapered, man. The pedigree is there for sure.
I agree with you. Yep. It's his to lose, right? It's his to,
So if that doesn't excite you as a fan, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're never going to be happy. You're always going to be one of those people on Twitter. But and look, again, I'm not saying that this is a slam dunk that we're going to have top 2 players in all 3 of our lanes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, look at how reasonable that can be as like a take. We have that potential. Now, some other things to consider.
I can't wait for the split to start.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, here, let's bring us down to earth.
Okay.
Let's not forget, C9 didn't just win. They kind of gapped everyone, right? And I know finals were maybe a little closer than we thought it would be, but like in reality, C9 kind of gapped everyone. If C9 was going to fumble away the NA trophy, it was because they tripped. It wasn't because someone took it from them, right?
Right.
And their strongest point on the map is going to neutralize our strongest point on the map, right? Like that mid lane thing that they have is just going to be really tough to overcome, because like the improvement that we made is in the mid lane, where they are, you know, as close to unbeatable as you can be in NA. It's not like Perks has always been great, like every game, but that dude is going to be so hard to catch.
Yeah. I mean,
you seem to be shaking your head. No, you go.
It's weird with C9, right? In some ways they seem better. Like as I was thinking ahead to predictions for this weekend, I was like, you know, they were they had a pretty they had a pretty strong showing at MSI in some specific ways, in that they show that they can beat anybody in the world, right? That's a big thing to be able to do, because in NA, most of the teams that you're going to play are not anybody in the world. Like they're a afterthought in the global scene.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not saying that Cloud9 had a great MSI, that they showed that they are one of the best teams in the world, but in best of ones they can be. And they were pretty close to being, in a much better spot had a couple of key games gone a different way. So, but here's the weird thing. Perkz wasn't their standout performer. And
yeah, that's true.
When I look across the Rift, my initial reaction actually isn't we'll never catch Perkz. Because he didn't gap Ryoma super hard in all the games that we played against them. Which is, kind of weird. I don't remember the specific performances, but I also remember that it wasn't like he absolutely trashed us through mid lane, right? Now there are games where he does that, but I'm interested to see if the Perkz gap is a lot less meaningful if what we have is a top 2 mid laner, where maybe he doesn't come out ahead of Perkz, but I mean, Perkz wasn't ahead in a lot of the MSI games. So it'll be interesting to see. That's going to be one to watch.
All right, so fair enough to walk back the mid lane gap, but still, like, there's Blabber gap also. And they've just been very good. And like you said, Perkz didn't look like the best player on their team in MSI. That looked like it was Fudge, and Fudge would, if he plays up to that level, then it's a tough task for Ssumday as well. So
yeah,
the point is, the gap between where we were and where C9 is pretty big. Overall, the sum total of it was pretty big. So that's going to be a thing. It's not like we should just suddenly expect that all our problems are over. The other thing is, all of this stuff takes time. So as Reaper mentioned, they've only had a week to get started so far. And just in general, things just take time, right? I am not, for one, expecting that Abbedagge is going to come out of the gates and smash everybody. I'm not.
Right.
And I think that the team is probably going to be looking really scattered for the first little while. Like, if we win, it's going to be with weird individual outplays and not like team macro that's winning us these games. You know what I mean? Because, like, look at the philosophy that Reapered is putting in place. It's like, let's take the shackles off. Everybody, trust your gut, trust your instincts. Your instincts make you great. Do your thing. That doesn't lend itself to macro play very well. So the challenge of Reapered is going to be like, through the split, how do I like add that bit to it? Because we're starting off from a place of like, take the handcuffs off.
Yep.
Now I have to like figure out over the weeks, how do I harness that and coordinate it on a macro level and turn it into a game-winning strategy? That's gonna take time. He's not gonna have the answer right away. And that's the thing that I think would drive people crazy who don't like my reluctance to commit to hot takes, because like the fact is, this team is going to be a work in progress for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that we get, this split is, in my opinion, it's going to be like a bonus, because as irritating as it is for everybody, like, my take is, I'm not truly going to commit to judging this team until 2022. I'm just not. If we make Worlds this year, I'm going to be super pumped. I'm going to love it. I'm going to be proud. If we don't, I'm not hitting the panic button.
Right.
Which I think a lot of people will want to, because, like, look at the money we spent to get Abbedagge. Look, it didn't work out. We were in 4th and we weren't able to move up one spot. I think that I'm going to be in disagreement with much of the fan base. But I'm not going to hit the panic button if we don't make Worlds in 2021. Now, if we fall to like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, then I'll be a little, squirrely on it. But the point is, I don't really think we're going to be like realizing our potential this split, like our full potential.
Right.
If we're able to, it's because Reapered is like the LCS whisperer, and he just cracks the code. And that may very well be the case, that he's able to crack the code early.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But I'm just planning on 2022 being the real look at this team. How good are we? So that's in my opinion, like the way to approach this is like, look, we have potential to be really, really good for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And a serious challenge for teams in NA. But it's probably going to take us a while to get there. And that's going to be super irritating for fans.
Yeah. Yeah. Short attention spans, win now mentalities. Like, these are all things that don't contribute to playing the long game.
Yeah.
And it's seeming more and more like that is kind of the path to success in the LCS, is get the right pieces in place and then hold, right? And I will say, I do expect Abbedagge to dumpster some people early on. I do. And
you think he's going to put it on Saligo and on Sunday?
No, I don't think so. I mean, but I think there are mids in the LCS right now that he will handle with ease. I think Saligo is actually generally pretty good at holding his own in lane. So,
well, just remember, my ultimate thesis is, the challenge is turning the individual plays into a team strategy. Yeah.
No, and that's right. It's disparate pieces, so that's the trick, is how do you get the most from individual players while still having a cohesive team that makes the right plays as a group. And that's the coach's job, right? Like, having 5 all-stars is not a guaranteed path to success, because they have to know how to play together. And I think we do see it, right? Teams that have, and don't need to look further than MSI, teams that have less talented rosters overall still win games, right? Like, Pentanet won games, and I don't think anybody would say that 5-person squad is in the top most talented squads in the world, but they played a smart game, and they beat some teams. So that'll be the thing. I'm with you, right? I'm not gonna. Here's what I'll add to it, though, just to not agree and say move on, is I think it would be really, really important that we do get Worlds experience. And it's weird because, again, for the first time, I'm looking at it as Worlds experience, not as like, here's our
trip
shot
to
or
Worlds.
one shot. Yeah, exactly. We actually stand to go to Worlds, learn things, come back and play as a better team.
Right.
We've got players who don't have that kind of experience yet. We got a lot of players who don't have a ton of stage experience yet, just given the last year and a half. So, that's all super important to get. If you're thinking on a timeline that is more than a year, those experiences are invaluable, and you don't want to wait too long to get those.
Right. And like, look at a team like C9, who with a trip to MSI got all of these games to play against some of the toughest competition in the world. Right.
Yeah,
that, you cannot underestimate the impact that is going to have on them, and like doing scrims against these teams and like everything. Right. Like, they may feel like they come back to NA and they're kind of like speed running, because it just may feel different. Like, competition level is just different. It's basically like, a spring split of extra games for them against tougher competition and on the whole, so that's a huge thing. So I think that's a great thing to mention. So look, that's our disclaimer for you. We're famous for our disclaimers, is that you should, don't expect us to just steamroll right away. And while you won't do that, you may be tempted to, after 2 or 3 weeks, start saying, what is going on? We're not winning like we think we should. That's when it's going to be the reminder. Take it easy, right? It's going to take time. Now, really quick, here's how we'll finish the pod. I'm gonna do one more quick thing really quick, and then we'll talk about predictions for next week, Actually, we'll do a couple quick listener takes and then predictions for next week. Okay.
Okay.
So I've already kind of said this in a previous podcast not too long ago, but I just want to underscore it. And that is trust the Papa, right? Just remember that Abbedagge checks the box for the most important thing that 100T fans have wanted forever, right? Like a seriously competitive mid laner who can potentially be a foundational piece for the team for many years, right? That was the number one thing on the wish list, and they brought it home, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people also called for a new coach, okay? And we didn't just get a new coach, we got the coach, right? Like we got Reapered. You just remember that no matter how things are going in the first few weeks where it maybe get rocky, maybe we'll do great and this will be totally relevant. But to me, trust the Papa thing is like a constant reminder that these people know what they're doing. Like Papa knows what he's doing and they're working hard to deliver what's best for the program. And if you can't see that this is a step in the right direction, right? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what else I can say to help you believe that, right? Like,
right.
And I think right now everybody's on board. It's all happy. It's all fun because games haven't started yet and we haven't lost anything yet. If we do though, don't go like breaking the glass for emergency right away. All right. That's all my point is. I'm so happy and so excited that we've made these moves. If they don't work out, say we get a bang 2.0 here, I literally don't even care because we took a huge swing on something that seems to be great. It's like, no, we did it. I don't know why it didn't work, but we actually went for it, and I am good with that philosophy. So
that's a really good point. So yeah, like look at how you're feeling right now and your assessment of these moves. And I haven't heard anybody say that Reapered was a bad pickup.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a single person say it.
Right.
So if it doesn't work out, and if we're not number one in the league, week 3 summer split, Reapered wasn't a bad. You don't get to retcon and say, it's a horrible decision.
Yeah.
Like say it now if you want to say it, and then make your case. But I don't hear anybody saying it. So even if it doesn't work out exactly, it doesn't make it suddenly a bad decision in the past. The same is true with Abbedagge. And, that we've talked about people maybe saying he's not as good as we think he could be. But like the alternatives, he seems like the best possible option available to us at this point in time. And I'm not trying to undersell the value that I place in that.
Yeah.
I just don't see what we could have done that would have been a better bet. We had a lot of bets to make, and I think we made good ones. And not every bet you make is going to pay out, but these two seem like pretty strong bets.
Yeah. All right. So moving, on that, listener takes just a couple really quick ones. Poopaboo on Twitter, shout out Jake, says, where do you guys realistically rank Abbedagge among every other mid laner? And I'm telling you, I'm hard committing that I think he's gonna be second overall. All right.
Yep.
That's
likewise.
You said realistically rank him. That's where I'm realistically ranking him. If I miss that by a place and he goes to third, I'm not too worried about it. But I really do believe in this guy, like long term. I really, really do.
If MSI perks is summer LCS perks, then there's upside to 1. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I don't think that is, again, Perks is still a great player, and I think that was more of a slump.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah.
And then the other one from Zach Remsburg on Twitter says, this is kind of just sharing his thoughts, and shout out to Zach. We'll let him do that. The one thing that I'm most excited to watch this upcoming split will be the philosophical change in how we approach mid lane. I'm so excited to see how this team will play, having a mid laner that we can play through and not around like seasons past. We always chose champs and comps to make sure our mid lane wasn't exposed. And now we have a young, exciting mid laner who we can give the keys to the kingdom and let him loose. Fun time to be a 100T fan. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, that's the show, Cole. That's it.
Except for predictions. So So we start on Friday with Immortals. I do not see us losing this match. This is a dub.
This is a dub.
Hard commit to the dub. Jordan.
Yep.
The next day, though, is C9. Where do you fall, good sir?
New coach, new ADC, Fudge and Purse and Blabber. Cole, we catch a dub. I'm going for it. Why not? Cole, the season's young. I'm going for it. That's a win.
So my challenge.
I have to start here.
My challenge here is to try and not sound like a wet blanket. But guys, I'm telling you, I make my picks based on what I truly believe, not what I hope to have happen.
I know.
All right.
You do.
Is Jordan underestimating King? Who knows? He may be. But I still believe it's going to take a little bit of time to get us all the way there. C9 is going to be tough. They just came off of a few weeks of playing some incredibly difficult teams. I'm doing what you guys all expected, Sir Dargor. I'm sorry. This is a loss for us. And I'm going to be totally fine with it. I'm going to be totally fine with it, even if it's a blowout.
This is Cole. This is my patented predict a win when you're okay with a loss.
Jordan just wants himself to feel good.
I can't lose. Yeah.
Sunday is Dignitas, Jordan. What do you think?
That's a dub. We got him. We got him, boys.
Yeah. I mean, we showed we were just better last split. And we're better than we were last split. So that's a dub. So we're going 2-1 this weekend, everybody. That's exciting. It's exciting.
I like
if
it.
we get a C9 win, it'll just be icing on the cake. But yeah, I think we're going 2-1 this weekend to open LCS, and hopefully we get to see some really cool like outplay from Abbedagge. Like I'm hoping we get a highlight reel moment in the first weekend for Abbedagge. That is my biggest hope for this weekend. I want that more than I want a C9 win, right? I want to just see him. You remember when Ryoma almost solo killed Crown in like
the
second weekend of LCS? That if that Ignite takes one more and he gets that kill, could you just imagine what that would do? Like that was such a pivotal.
We would have won Worlds. Cool.
We would have won Worlds. That's what I want. But I want the one more tick. I want Abbedagge with the outplay. That's my hope for this weekend, guys. My other hope for this weekend is that all of you are very happy watching 100 Thieves and believe in what you're seeing. Like Zach said in the take that we read earlier, fun time to be a 100 T fan. I'm ready.
Definitely.
My body is ready for Summer Split. You guys get ready as well. We'll be back doing this every Monday at the normal time, 8:30 p.m. Central, in the coming weeks. And we'll have real live action to talk about next week. Cannot wait.
Special time.
So
happy.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch it, Cole.
All right, everybody. We love you and we miss you already.